Welcome to episode 134 of the Parkrun Adventurers podcast, coming to you from the Sunshine Coast, which is not so sunny at the moment and hasn't been for a couple of weeks. My name is Mel Erbacher. I am joined by Scotty Trickett, who I believe is in the sunny Victoria. Is that correct, Scotty?
Oh, it's a bit overcast today as we speak, but it has been glorious for a number of weeks now.
Well, that's good to hear. What's been happening in your neck of the woods?
Well, I tell you what, let's keep with the weather theme early on. On Sunday, let's work backwards here. On Sunday was Melbourne Marathon, as I hope you're aware, and I had a great day running around Melbourne. It was the furthest I've run in a long time, which was encouraging. The body didn't break down, but it was really hot, and I got to run with some of my mates going through that horrible 36k onward stretch.
So you were one of those running, cheery, supportive people. You didn't actually participate in an event this year?
No, I didn't participate in an event. I just ran all around the course and got to run with some of my mates, as I said, for brief periods. Like the most I probably ever ran was a couple of K.
Okay.
With some people. But it reinforced that, Mel, I don't think I'm going to do a marathon again because these people were in so much pain. Like I never ran along anyone and said, I'm having the best time. This feels great. I want to do this again next week. It was all, I'm in so much pain. This hurts. Is it going to end soon? Help me with the conversations I was having on Sunday. Just reinforce that marathons are really hard.
Or maybe just they're hard for your friends.
No, I think because I was running with some of the boys up the front. And I'll tell you a quick story. One of my best mates, Chris, was going for a sub 3 hour marathon. And I didn't try and interrupt his plan too much. I didn't run with him for two reasons. He's really focused and he was in a nice pack in the early stages. And the other one is that he's really fast and I probably can't run with him.
Yeah.
But he was coming up St Kilda Road, which is a 30k mark of the park run, just a bit beyond where it's really starting to hurt. And there was a fair bit of wind around on Sunday as well. So Chris was by himself. So I thought I'll jump in with him. I'll have a chat to him, see how he's going. Anyway, he wasn't going as well as I thought. He was in a little bit of pain and his pace was dropping. And the wind was picking up. So I ran along with him and then we had this great idea that I'd be a windbreak for him for a bit of it. The problem was he was like running 4-minute Ks. My eyes were popping out of my head trying to keep up to this pace. But I didn't want to let my mate down, who I was trying to help. But again, it just reinforced that sub 3 hour marathoners have to run really fast for a long time. And I don't think I could ever do it. Amazing effort. And the good thing is, Chris was struggling at this stage, but he got in with 2 hours, 59 minutes and 58 seconds.
Oh, that must have been so sweet.
So hopefully the couple of gusts of winds that I broke for him
made all the difference.
That's what I'm telling you. But the worst part of it all is that I didn't turn my watch on for that couple of...
Oh, and you could have got all sorts of personal bests on that little section.
Yeah.
But you know what I love most about that story, Scotty, is you said it was at the 30-kilometre point of the parkrun.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. So all these people out there are going, holy shit, parkrun's got a lot longer than last time I showed up.
There you go. I got a one-track mind now.
You do. Oh, dear.
So that was my Sunday. And I also cheered on a couple of Zoolanders, which was quite the opposite to what I was doing on the Saturday, because we had our walk-off at Westerfolds.
You did. How did that go?
Well, what did I say last week?
On the podcast?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I said they were in dicey.
Down?
Yeah, they were in dicey territory because they challenged me on my turf with my people.
Your people.
My people.
Us and them.
And look, all joking aside, it was a great morning. But they didn't. The Zoolanders didn't show up. Not in the numbers that I thought they would have, and they were crushed by the might of the Westerfoldian army.
Okay, because I heard a different story, and I'm pretty sure from our perspective we thought we won, Zoolanders.
Well, I was there. So I know what really happened.
Okay.
But it was great to catch up with Matty Trent and his mates on the morning. And I think they had nice things to say about Westerfolds, which was even nicer because it's a pretty good parkrun, Mel. We should talk about it a bit more.
Well, the Zoolanders are pretty good park runners. They're nice people. They're not scary, nasty, obnoxious people either.
Maybe my opinion's changing a little bit of that group, but anyway, did you run with any Zoolanders at your new event?
I did. I ran with some of my favourite zooies on the weekend at Underwood Park. We got a U for those who chase the Alphabet Club. There was a U involved. And you know what? It's one of those things like, have you ever seen the people who spell things out? Apparently spelling parkrun out is a thing. I don't know if it's on the Chrome extension that you've got to, get all the letters. All parkrun events begin with Parkrun. I'm too busy looking at the Underwood written in front of me with a U. And once you do that, then, you've got all the letters of parkrun. I'm not sure if that's on the Chrome extension. I'll have to have a look. But I had a quick look at what my sort of most recent events were, because I do know of people in the past who have done the events starting with those letters in reverse order, so that when they look at the last 7 events they've done, downward across the screen, it says parkrun. Now, mine doesn't spell anything out like that. However, it is an anagram. My last 4 events is an anagram for busy. B-U-S-Y. Yeah. So I've been busy lately, and that's because I went to 4 new events in the last 4 weeks, which is huge for me. I think that might be a new event streak.
There you go. What's the B? You haven't done a B.
I did Ballina Coast.
Oh, so it's not in order. It's out of order.
No, it's an anagram. So It's not spelt B-U-S-Y. If I had been more organised, I would have done them in order of Yamba and then St Lucia, then Underwood Park, and then Ballina Coast. However, I wasn't thinking about spelling things. Possibly in the future, I will think about spelling things, but we'll see how we go with that. Just something different to keep you interested, I guess, looking at all the different things in the parkrun world. But Underwood Park was a great event, really, really pretty parkrun. It was overcast. We were a little bit concerned it might have cancelled because some of the other events locally were cancelled due to the wet weather we've been having, and it's a bit of a issue in Queensland at the moment, cancellations and things, because courses aren't coping with the weather. But it wasn't.
Our numbers were down nationally, and I figured it was you Queensland mob not liking getting wet.
Well, it's not us not liking getting wet, it's the courses not liking getting wet.
This is true. There were a number of cancellations as well.
Yeah, but I had a good morning out there with the crew, with some of my favourite zooies. The kids all had a play in. So Underwood Park has a massive children's play area with all these jungle gyms and tree houses and all sorts of cool stuff, and it's called Funderwood Park. And the kids had a great time crawling all in and out of those, and Wes is just starting to learn how to climb things, so that's fun.
Is it actually called Funderwood, or is that
it's
the
called
name
Funderwood.
that locals have given it?
Yeah, the park is called Funderwood Park because it's in or next to Underwood Park.
Well done, Cancel.
I think we test out a swing at every new event, and I might have to create a coffee table book of all the swing sets, and Wes can give them his smile or stink face reviews, because that's what we do now after parkrun. We check out the swing sets.
Can't wait. Looking forward to the coffee table.
Oh, it'll be a big seller at Christmas, I'm sure of it. It's been a little while since we've had him on the show. He used to be a bit of a semi-regular, especially as we had a whole segment to ask him questions. However, we decided, Scotty and I, that it was time that we got him back because we have more questions ourselves. Tim Oberg, CEO, Head Honcho, Big Cheese, Parkrun Australia, welcome back to the Parkrun Adventurers podcast.
Always a pleasure to be here, and always a pleasure to be called Big Cheese by you, Mel.
You're the only one I call Big Cheese.
Very good. No, great to be here. And you're right. I think I did used to come on a little bit more, and I'm happy to come on as often as you want. So bring it on.
Excellent. I think Scotty's got some plans for you in mind, but we might talk about that a little bit later.
All right. Okay.
So since we last had you join us, Tim, what's changed in the parkrun world for you?
Oh, wow. Big, broad question there to start. I mean, I guess looking at my personal local parkrun world here in Airlie Beach, our event here has grown, which is one thing. So we're in the third year of Airlie Beach Parkrun, and started off like most events, started off quite small, sort of 20 to 30 people a week. Probably year two, looking at 40 to 50, and now probably sort of consistently 80 to 90 each week. And what's really nice is there's still the same core of people coming week in, week out. And it really does feel like home for me when I'm at Airlie Beach Parkrun. But lots of tourists coming. Airlie Beach is a bit of a tourist hotspot, obviously. But last week we had South Africans, we had English, of course, people from all over Australia. It's just got a really, really great vibe. So I really, really love just my little local Airlie Beach Parkrun every Saturday. And it actually, even just the way I participate changes almost every time I go, depending on what's happening with the rest of my family. So the typical scenario is that I've got the double pram, the double bob, which has seen me through all the kids. Well, we've got two bobs actually. We've got the single bob. That was our first ever running pram, which when Jack was born we had that, and then when Evie came along we got the double. And so I'm on the double now because Jack's 6 now, and he's doing about a 30-minute park run. The neighbour's dog's going off in the background there. I can probably hearing that. So Jack's doing a 30-minute park run now. So he'll be running. I'll have Evie and Archie in the double pram, and Nikki will also be running. So we'll run as a family unit. And it's for me, it's just joyous. I just love running with the kids and listening to all the funny stuff that comes out of their mouths as we're running along, and they're talking and high-fiving other people out on the course. So that's the sort of typical Saturday. But then sometimes I'll go on my own, depending on whether the kids might have had a big week at school or whatever, and we think they need a lie-in. And if I go on my own, then I get to have a completely different experience, which is not really me trying to run PBs, but I like just catching up with people. I'll see friends there, and I'll just run with a couple of friends, and we'll run and talk as we go. And lots of high-fiving out on the course, as is customary at parkrun. And then every now and then it'll look a bit different again. I think about 3 weeks ago, I just took Archie with me. So I had Archie, who's 18 months. I just had him in the single pram. And single pram runners will know that a good single pram doesn't really slow you down too much. You can still get out and run pretty fast. So it always looks a little bit different. And then of course every now and then I'm away somewhere else, on parkrun business. So 2 weeks ago, we were down at the ponds, and that was just an amazing weekend. And you've already covered that off on this podcast. So parkrun for me is still really exciting, really varied, and I'm really loving my little home community up here in Airlie Beach.
So what's the Tim Oberg experience when he goes and visits the ponds, for example? Are you the celebrity? Are you the man who brought parkrun to this country? How's that experience for you?
At Airlie Beach, when I go, I would like to think that I'm just one of the park runners, definitely. I don't volunteer much, because one of the things I try to avoid is I don't want the local team here to feel like I'm, looking over their shoulder and critiquing what they're doing or anything. So I intentionally don't volunteer up here very often on Saturday. Obviously, I'm event director of Junior Parkrun on the Sunday. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. So I'll probably run direct up here 3 or 4 times a year, when they get stuck. And I've got a little tradition that I run direct on Christmas Day as well. But the rest of the time, I'll just pitch up and I'm sort of just one of the park runners, and every now and then somebody who's a tourist might want to grab me for a photo because they heard that the guy that started parkrun in Australia lived in Early Beach or something, so they come looking for me. But and it's lovely. I always love meeting people when they're up, and obviously if they want to have a photo with me, that all that really means is they really love parkrun. So it's a great thing. So. And then, when I travel, it's probably a bit different because often when we do travel for work, and Mel and Scotty, you'll know this, people will know we're coming. There's often a, some sort of Facebook event or whatnot that people from parkrun management team are going to be at parkrun, so come and meet them and whatnot. So often when we travel, or when we adventure, as we call it for this podcast, it's a bit more organised. People know we're coming, and people come specifically to meet us. So at the ponds the other week, it was such a thrill to be down there. And I think to be fair, I think I got as much of a thrill out of meeting everyone down there and the event team there as they did out of meeting us, because it was an event that we talked about wanting to get to for a long time. We specifically planned to get down there on that weekend. They were opening their new path that the state government had paid for. So there are lots of photos. I mean, I probably have never been in so many photos as I'd been in at the ponds 2 weeks ago. And lots of great photos on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot afterwards, and lots of people having a bit of fun with the pickies and tagging us and whatnot. We did lots of jump photos and everything. So it was it was a great experience. And I guess as in answering your question, there were a lot of people that were there to meet, not just me, but meet you as well. It was a great time. So I guess that's a bit typical when we travel, is that people know we're coming and they want to come and meet us.
How do you not get a big head about that?
Well, so like I said earlier, I think it's not that they want to meet me. Well, they do want to meet me but really it's a reflection of their love of parkrun. It's not a reflection of, it's not like a celebrity thing. I think when you look at celebrity culture, people get obsessed with individuals who they don't know. They watch a movie and they think, oh, I love that person, and, I'm going to get obsessed with them or whatever. And it's so fake. Whereas what we have here is people who have something in their lives, i.e. parkrun, which is really meaningful, and they really love it, and they want to say thank you to the people that bring that to them. And so it's a real genuine show of thanks for something that is real. And so as I say, it's not about me. It's about parkrun, and they're showing their love of parkrun and their thank you for parkrun to people like all of us, yourself as well, Mel. And any of us and it's like, I'm sure event directors, if you're an event director or a run director, every time you do it, I would like to think you feel the love somehow from people saying thank you and showing their appreciation. And I guess it's just with myself and our team, our management team, it's just on a wider level, because when we go to any event, they all sort of somewhat trace it back to me for starting it, but then for the rest of us as well, who run this sort of steer the ship week in, week out. So it's just, I think it's a really great show of thanks and appreciation of parkrun as opposed to the individuals.
And now, for the first time in your parkrun journey, you are an event director. Does this give you a great appreciation of what's involved in running an event? Because you're in a small town, it's not a massive event, Old Cannon Vale Junior Parkrun.
Yeah, and look, it's a good point. And a lot of people probably don't realise that when parkrun, I get credited as starting parkrun in Australia, but I was not actually the first event director. I sort of viewed the role of starting parkrun in this country as, right from the start, it wasn't going to be about me starting up an event and getting that event going. It was about, I've got to find people to start events. That's the job. And so even from week one on the Gold Coast Main Beach Parkrun, John Borbich was our original event director. So I've always had my finger in the sort of operational pie, if you want to call it that, and I've known what was going on, but I've never until now had that week in, week out responsibility of event directing. But when we decided we were going to pilot junior parkrun, and we were going to look, one of the locations would be up here in Canavale where I live, then that was it. It's like, okay, here's my first time to actually be an event director, and it has really been an eye-opening experience for me, because I've gone through exactly the same emotions and had the same challenges as event directors all over Australia and all over the world. And how do we get all the volunteers each week? And in junior parkrun, for our event, we require a minimum of 12 volunteers. So given we're only getting, we get about 20 kids, the sort of volunteer to participant ratio is very high compared to, say, again, looking at Airlie Beach Parkrun here, they probably have 6 volunteers each week and 100 participants. So you're looking at a very high percentage of people volunteering. So look, it's been, I think we're 14 weeks in or 13 weeks in with juniors up here, and I'm definitely in the swing of it now. Got the little sort of systems in play for how and when I try and recruit, and I use Facebook a lot for encouraging people to volunteer and whatnot. But the reward you get for doing it is immense, and I love, particularly with juniors, you get to see all the kids running around, and it's such a great buzz on a Sunday morning to see little kids running around, walking 2 kilometres. I mean, when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, running 2 kilometres just was not on my radar. It was not something that I physically would have even thought I would have been able to do. But here we are, we're creating a generation of kids who are out and active on a Sunday morning running 2K, and it's just brilliant. So I take my hat off to all the event directors around the country. I mean, we've got some who've been doing it for 7 years. I think Paul Wilcock in Sydney's been an event director there at St Peter's for 7 years. So it's an incredible feat. So, and there's a lot who've been doing it for multiple years. So good on them.
Let's change topics a little bit. A couple of months ago, you were over in Japan, hobnobbing it with PSH and crew. Can you give us an update on what's happening with Japan? We're asking for people to help us out launch there. Can you give us a bit more detail around that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a bit of an evolving beast, but in broad terms, the plan is that we want to launch parkrun in Japan in the first half of next year. There's a big focus within Japan around health and wellbeing and sport initiatives, as the Rugby World Cup is in September next year, and then they've got the Tokyo Olympics in 2020. So government is really focused on getting people active. And obviously parkrun's a great vehicle for doing that. So we're having, various conversations with the government over there and other interested parties to help support the growth of parkrun. But, one of the things that I noticed when I was there is I've never seen so many people just running in the streets, just before work, after work, during the day. So the running culture is already massive. And there wasn't a noticeable amount of visible obesity and things like that. It was, the people didn't seem to have the same physical health issues that you might see in a typical Western country. However, what we were being told is there's a lot more issues there in terms of social isolation, mental health. A lot of people working very, very high-pressured, long-hour jobs. So it'll be really interesting once we do get parkrun happening to see where the strongest impacts are. And I definitely think it's going to be in that sort of social space and mental health space. But yeah, really excited. It's going to be great. If we're sort of viewing Japan as our first real foray into a culture that's kind of quite wildly different to all of our existing kind of European and Commonwealth sort of countries that we're in at the moment. Japan's something completely different. So it's a great challenge, and our Australian team here are directly involved in managing all of that. So yeah, look, really exciting times ahead.
It's usually the case with Murphy's Law and things like that people book a holiday overseas to a country that hasn't got a parkrun, and then they find out that parkrun's going to launch there the following week after they get home. I know you don't have a definite launch date and you say the first half of 2019, but can you rule out a couple of the months that exist in the first half of 2019 yet? Should people not book flights in January, for example?
So we're looking at, in an ideal world, it's going to be April, but it definitely won't be earlier than April. So yeah, don't book your flights before April is what I would say to that one.
Okay, good advice. Good advice. And then the next question I've got, how are you coping with, I mean, obviously I know English is widely spoken in Japan. However, I don't anticipate every conversation could possibly be had in English. How is the translation between the languages working?
Yeah, so it was actually really one of the most interesting parts of our trip when we were there a few months back was having meetings that were basically conducted with translators as the intermediaries. I'd never done that before, and so basically you would, if whoever was speaking you'd have to try and be as efficient as possible in making your point, and you couldn't speak for too long because you've got these translators who are furiously doing sort of like shorthanded notes, and then we would stop speaking, and then the translator would translate all of that into Japanese. And just the way, I mean, they were so fast, and we did have people in the room who were bilingual who were able to sort of report back to us that the translators were getting what we were saying word for word, right down to like the nuances and everything like that. So yeah, they were incredible. We were so impressed with the various translators that we came across. But what's going to be obviously key for us is that we need people on the ground in Japan who speak both English and Japanese, and potentially even here in Australia as we grow our staff here, it might be that we look to recruit a staff member here in Australia who actually speaks Japanese as well, because then they'll be able to help participate in meetings where that's required. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge, but also very interesting to be part of.
Well, I've been brushing up on my Japanese, Tim. My daughter Kasha learns Japanese at school, so we can have a conversation that pretty much extends to hello and goodbye. Am I suitably qualified to help out with this expansion in Japan?
Yeah, why not? Well, given that you're the head of communications, then yeah, that's you'll probably be required.
Great. Now, my next question for you is: are you suitably qualified to co-host the Parkrun Adventurers with Mel Urbacher next week?
Well, look, I've never been one to take qualifications too seriously. I have 2 university degrees that are gathering dust somewhere around the place. There is no Bachelor of Parkrun, so I dare say there's no Bachelor of Parkrun Adventurer podcast hosting. So that being the case, then I would love to co-host with Mel next week.
I think Scotty doesn't set the bar very high, so I'm pretty sure you'll be fine.
Steady on, Mel. Steady on.
It's obviously the dynamic between you two is that Scott's the sort of dry, serious one, and Mel, you're the kind of slightly crazy, funny one. Now the problem is going to have here, Mel, is that I'm the funny one as well. So are we just going to both be funny, or
it's going to be too hilarious? Maybe I'll try being dry and serious.
Yeah. Did you ever see that Seinfeld episode where Jerry was told to stop being funny because George's girlfriend was laughing too much at Jerry's jokes, and George got jealous? Did you ever see that one?
No, I didn't.
That could be us next week. You might be Jerry Seinfeld trying to be serious. And I'll be the funny one, but I'm sure we'll work it out anyway.
I'm still here, I can hear all this.
This was your idea, Scotty.
I'm not sure about this myth that I'm the dry, serious one. I thought I was hilarious.
I think you're hilarious. That's why I laugh at you all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think off the back of this, you need a poll, a Facebook poll on the Parkrun Adventurers Facebook page to get the listeners to sort of, vote on the dynamic. Is Scott the dry funny one? Yes. The dry serious one? Yes or no?
Well, I think you've just added a question to the Pearl illustration, Tim. So thanks for that. We were struggling for questions this year, and that's going to be in there now. Thank you.
Good.
Making contributions
Already. And he's not even the host yet.
Yeah. I mean, this could actually be the last time you host, Scotty, because it could go, say, gangbusters next week. That by
We don't ask you back.
we might just stay on. We might be the new it team on the podcast.
Well, I'm okay with that. If the people speak, if that's what the people want, I give the people what they want.
This is a bit of a leadership challenge, really, isn't it?
Do you want to swap jobs, Tim? Is that what you're saying?
Very Canberra. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Let's just say that yes, I will do the podcast next week, and we'll see how it all goes.
Okay, that's awesome news. So we've heard enough from you this week, because we'll have a whole hour with you next week. Tim, thanks for coming on the podcast and answering our questions as CEO of Parkrun Australia. We really appreciate it.
And as Tim Oberg, the park runner.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys, and I look forward to speaking to all the listeners next week.
Mel, our podcast can be very black and white at times. We go from last week having like 40, 50 minutes of roving reports to this week, nothing.
Well, you can't have too much of a good thing, Scotty.
This is true. We need more balance in our life. But speaking of balance, I need to, well, I'm not sure if it's an apology or a retraction, but I want to swing the balance back in.
Well, a correction. It's a correction.
Well, I don't know.
You were misinformed or you had the wrong idea.
So I've been driving this narrative on the podcast for a number of weeks, as you pointed out off air, that New South Wales is the black hole of the Parkrun Adventurers audience. And I was challenged on that when I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, and they were right. I looked up the numbers, and we actually have more downloads coming from New South Wales than anywhere else in Australia. So I take it back, and I love all the people. I love all our parkrunners in New South Wales, and it's actually ridiculous of me to say that, because we went to our listener meetup in New South Wales.
We're planning the second listener meetup in New South Wales.
Because they're places we want to go to, and here I am trashing the state. So I take it all back.
Well, you weren't exactly trashing the state. You just didn't think we were getting as much love from them as we actually are.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick another state to
pick on.
Yep. But I'll reveal that state in the next couple of weeks.
All right, so let's move on to what's happening in the world. We've got 0 launches coming up this week.
We do, but that's good because we've got anniversaries to celebrate. Up in your neck of the woods, Brightwater, something you had a bit of history in. They're celebrating How many years have they been around?
This will be number 4, Scotty.
There we go. Happy anniversary.
Wow.
Brightwater.
Yeah, happy Annie, Brightwater. Grafton in New South Wales, also having a birthday.
Gungahlin in the ACT.
Hamilton in Victoria.
Kingscliff, just in New South Wales.
Not just in New South Wales, but what Scotty means is it sneaks over from the Queensland border. Murray Bridge in South Australia.
I love Kingscliff, by the way.
It's a beautiful one.
Never run there, but I love it. North Lakes in Queensland.
And Paradise Point in Queensland as well.
So plenty of anniversaries to get to. Let's get to the hotline question because they're still coming in.
They are. And we've got another one from Dorothy Dix this week.
Parkrun. Hello, Parkrun adventurers. When attempting a new freedom run, do you prefer a local guide or to tough it out yourself?
Freedom runs. Now, Mel, I love a freedom run. If you go to my parkrun profile, you will see that I have logged a number of freedom runs.
A lot more than me lately, that's for sure.
Yes. And in direct answer to Dorothy's question, I think I like to go it alone. I like the challenge of looking at the map, reading the description, and trying to figure out where the hell you're actually running on this freedom run, because it's an adventure. Like, everything's a surprise.
It's a magical mystery tour that you usually get wrong.
Yeah. I guarantee, almost guarantee you get it wrong. Unless it's an out and back. Even then you can get it wrong because you can take a wrong turn.
Well, some people can. Some people have a talent for it. Okay, so you like to go it alone. I'm not sure I'm either of those options, because a local guide sort of implies that you've got somebody who's running it with you, and I'm not usually fast enough for that to happen. However, I do like getting a personal run brief from somebody who's local, because I just feel like receiving the instructions vocally, or being given to you vocally, it makes it just, I don't know, it sinks into my head better than when you hear about things on the map and you can see people pointing and then describing, turning around things and all that sort of stuff. So it just goes into my brain better, if that makes sense.
It does. Yep. Bit tired, Mel.
Oh, I was so trying to hide that yawn. It didn't work, did it?
It didn't work. No, we all heard it. We all heard it. Sorry to keep you up so late today.
What time is it? Almost midday?
Yeah, almost midday. We'll crack on. Can you give us another 5-10 minutes?
Oh, well, we'll see. I can't promise it'll be quality. I'll try to mute next time I need to yawn.
Okay, because thanks for the question, Dorothy. Keep them coming. Everyone else, we love them. We love the hotline. Love that theme music. I don't want it to go.
It is very cool. And I did love it when you added the trumpets a few weeks ago as well. That was great.
Picked up. Did you have a dance last week to the Charleston?
I did. I loved the Charleston, and I don't care that we're now banned in Spain. Totally worth it.
How about that? So the corporate heavies did come down on us for including that. So you were wrong. It wasn't royalty free, but only in Spain.
Used anyway.
Yeah, so only in Spain. So we figure we might have lost maybe one listener last week. We don't know.
Yeah, we apologise to any Spaniards who were not able to listen to episode 133 because it is now banned in your country. I wonder if Catalonians get to hear it, though.
Good question. I stay awake at night wondering about that, Mel.
Hey, you know what happened to me last weekend, Scotty? I didn't mention it in the intro, apart from, where I went to parkrun, but my wristband, which I never take off, I have worn since it was given to me like 4 years ago. I think it was 4 years ago. It didn't scan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. I had to go to the car and get my wallet out, which has a printed and laminated version of my barcode in it.
Your emergency backups. Is this because the barcode got so smudged that it wouldn't read it?
It has kind of, the barcode section on it has kind of bled over the years, and up until the week before last, like it's literally got, if you measure it, you would need a magnifying glass to measure it, but it probably across the top of the barcode has maybe 0.5 of a millimetre, where I reckon it's still scannable. But for whatever reason, it was muggy, and maybe it's been reduced to 0.4 of a millimetre and it's just not cutting it anymore. But my wristband didn't scan, and I was like, well, what do I do with this now? Do I take it off? I do have a second wristband, which I have to go and try and find now because it's been in storage for a couple of years. Hopefully the rubber hasn't perished just because it hasn't been worn. But it did get me to thinking. Obviously, I had a backup barcode. And look, I had my printed barcode as well. So I guess technically they would have written me down if I had asked them to, because I had brought it along. But I didn't want them to. I was happy to go back to the car and get the other version so they didn't have to go to the extra work. But it is, I only had the one backup. But, technically I've got one on my set of keys too, which I'd forgotten about. And funnily enough, I grabbed those keys to take it back to the car to get out my printed barcode. Now that I think about it, that was a bit silly. But backup barcodes, I think it's time for me to print another sheet and redistribute them, because over the years, I guess they've been used and not been put back where they go. So I thought I would ask, where do you have backup barcodes, Scotty? Where do you keep them?
We do. We have a whole set in the car, similar to yourself, the printed barcodes that have been laminated. Ivonna and I are fine. I think Kasha's on her last one because, we've used up a few of those in the years when she's forgotten. But it's a good reminder. But they're always in the car. we've always got them. But you know what else, Mel? This is great timing for you because, we've released new colours. You can get a purple and a green wristband now, and we're just about to release the new athlete key tags. So you can get a new one of those as well.
Oh, see, that's very tempting because I could chuck a couple of those on some shoes, different pairs of shoes that I wear. That's exciting. I did know that there were new coloured wristbands, and the problem is there's too much choice now, and I don't know whether or not to get green or purple.
One of each?
Well, yeah, but, budget conscious as well. It's and I would only wear one at a time. I'm not one of those people who will wear two. And I have seen those getting around, and that's fine if that's your choice. But, yeah, I would only wear one at a time.
So they've got backups of their backups on their wrists. I've never seen that.
So if the first one doesn't work, they just use the second one.
Oh, good on them. Good on them.
Yeah. But so you only keep them in the cars? Because, I've been trying to think about all the possible places that I could keep them because if you take a different car, like if you've got one of those families that have two cars and you take a different car another week, some people ride their bikes to parkrun and that's often the case that they've forgotten because they're wearing different shoes because they rode their bike as well. And but I've thought you could cable tie one. Not to the spokes, perhaps, but you could probably cable tie a barcode to one of the handlebars on your bike.
Yeah, these are all good reminders. We've got two cars. I'm pretty sure we've got backups in both cars. But, I only ever drive to parkrun, which is not great, is it?
Well, not necessarily. But if you're travelling and stuff, I guess, yeah. Because I have one in my wallet as well and one on my keys, which obviously I forgot about last week. But I would be interested to hear from our listeners if you've got any sneaky weird. I have heard of people sliding them underneath the insole in their shoe.
That's a bit gross.
Why is it gross? If it's under the insole, it's not between your foot and the thing. It's protected.
Look, sweat's a liquid. Liquid travels through fibres and down into the no. And it's pulling your shoe off to pull out a barcode and get no.
I thought you don't sweat, Scotty.
I don't, but when I do it,
people who do, it's not appropriate to keep your barcode there. Not even if it's laminated?
No, it's even worse. Like I said, sweat's liquid and it gets in between the laminate.
But the thing is, the kinds of barcodes that get presented to barcode scanners on a weekly basis are pretty gross and disgusting from sweat anyway. Like even the finished tokens, they cop a beating from all the runnerness that happens.
Yeah. Look, can we move off topic of sweaty barcodes? Yep. I'm thinking about smelly shoes being pulled off at parkrun. And let's bring it back to a really happy topic to round out the podcast because I know I'm keeping you awake. Pearl illustration, it's ready. It's ready to be released and we want your feedback and answers and opinions. So look out for it. It's on the Facebook page.
We worked really hard on the questions this year.
Absolutely.
Really
Devoted hours and hours. And as you just heard, Tim added a question at the last minute. And that's probably the one I'm probably most interested in now. But there's a couple of others in there that we really want to know. Yeah, we really want to know about. Yep. And as we also alluded to, our friends at TomTom are giving away a watch. We did it last year. We're doing it again this year. So all you have to do is enter, and you're in the running at the end of the month. No, we're going to run it for a month.
Yeah, so not the end of October.
No.
It's going to go for a month from whenever it gets released. So today is the 18th of October. Are we releasing the podcast today, Scotty?
We will be, yes, as a birthday gift to myself.
To yourself.
Yep.
And I haven't mentioned it yet, and I was going to without prompting this year. Happy birthday, Scotty.
Thank you. I got to the bloody end of the podcast and you hadn't done it, so I had to do it.
Look, all things come to those who wait, and good things come to those who wait, and you just need to be a little bit more patient. Are you getting a little lack of patience in your older age? Have you moved up an age category this year?
Good question. What are they age categories?
I think you have. I think they go from 30 to 34, 35 to 39. So you would have moved up one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, somewhere around there. I am pretty old, Mel.
Well, this is exciting. Just think about all the new age gradings that you could potentially get. You've entered a new group, so you might start being competitive again in your age category, whereas previously you may have not been as competitive. I don't know. To be honest, I don't actually look at these things. I'm just trying to find some silver linings for you.
Thanks. Thanks, Mel. Appreciate it.
Have you had birthday cake yet? Did you have it for breakfast?
No, nothing. Got nothing.
Oh,
I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah, there's still time. Did you know what I found out yesterday? Nicola, from our friend from With Me Now pod, she shares my parkrun birthday.
Oh, really?
We're birthday twins, parkrun birthday twins. Granted, she started her journey about 7 million years before me, although she's not that old. But look, a few years she's got on me, but it's definitely the same birthday. So we've decided that we're going to celebrate with either twice as many cakes and across both time zones. So we each get to have 2 cakes, or one of us we'll each have one normal cake and one upside down cake.
There you go. And this is coming up next month.
This is coming up. It's
next
only
couple
2
of weeks
away. It's very exciting. Looking forward to it. Parkrun birthdays. So happy birthday to you for your actual person in the world birthday, Scotty. I hope you get all the accolades isn't the word, all the salutations you deserve from your friends.
Thanks. I'm not going to be here next week, which is going to be a bit sad. So I just want to let you know that I'm heading down to Eastern Gardens this weekend to get my E. I'm going back there. And for a couple of reasons. I really enjoyed it when I was down there, but I really want my E, Mel.
You do. For your alphabet, how many letters have you got left of your alphabet?
Oh, I've still got a few to go. But I am starting to focus on it a bit more than I'm willing to admit.
Okay.
So there was a bit of convincing. Actually, there wasn't much convincing to get down there, but that's where I'm going this weekend.
Cool. Hey, you know what I realised? As much as I've been moving towards my parkrun goals for the year, there's one I'm not going to reach. And I don't know whether or not I feel bad about it or, yeah. Do you want to know what it is?
Yes.
One of my goals for this year was to get a new parkrun PB.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, that was really ambitious.
That was very ambitious. Yeah. I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, what were you thinking?
Well, I was thinking I had a whole year to do it. And then what have I done? I've frittered away my year. I haven't worked on getting any faster.
You had a really good start to the year. You were running the date. I think that really improved your running, didn't it?
Well, it had me running.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's an improvement, definitely. Yeah. Well, I obviously peaked too early. I must be having you rub off on me too much.
Yeah, you can't be a high achiever anyway, Mel. Got to always leave something in reserve, something to reach for next year.
Yeah, but I don't like not achieving my goals. That's why I set them. I set challenging yet achievable goals.
We match. Remember, I was going to run a marathon this year, and I said at the start of this podcast that I'll never run a marathon ever again. So I've come completely full circle, completely missed my goal.
Well, I still have hopes that you're going to change your mind because you know what? I rather fancy running a marathon with you one day, Scotty.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you would have to run it with me, so you would have to run it at my pace, which means you'd have to be out there a lot longer than you probably would want to be.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's enticing to run with you, Mel, but running for a long time is not that appealing.
I'm good company.
Okay. What are we talking? 5 hours? 6?
Well, if you go by my previous record, it was closer to 7. But I would be expecting to run faster this time because there wouldn't be wine every 2 kilometres to stop for.
Yep.
Unless you want to come to France.
Yep.
Bring Team Trickett to France and we can all have a wine marathon. Might have to wait a little bit longer for Kasha to be of age for that one.
One day. 8 years. 8 years. Let's plan for that one.
Okay.
Over the next 8 years.
It's on, like Donkey Kong.
Yep. Thanks, Mel. Let's wrap this up. Episode 134 is in the books. I'll see you again for 136.
Yeah, you even get to skip your intro next week. That's really how you mastermind it, isn't it?
Yep, a lot of pressure on Timmy. Hope he delivers.
Well, have a good week off, Scotty.
Thanks.